All right, let's get right into it. The date is March 10th, 2026. We're 11 days deep into a massive conflict in the Middle East. And this day, day 11, it's a perfect storm of chaos, contradiction, and the kind of terrifying ripple effects that only modern warfare can create.
So on one side of the coin, you have this message coming out of the Pentagon, crystal clear. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, is basically promising an all-out escalation. More fighters, more bombers, the single most intense day of the war. No room for interpretation there, right? But then, at almost the exact same time, you get this coming from the White House. President Trump is telling everyone, and maybe more importantly, telling the global markets, that the war is pretty much a done deal. He's signaling it's going to be over very soon. Victory is at hand.
So, which one is it? Are we ramping up for the biggest fight yet, or is it already over? This one contradiction defined the entire day, and it shot a wave of pure, paralyzing uncertainty all around the world.
Because, for the people actually living in Tehran, there was zero ambiguity. While Washington was sending out these completely mixed signals, the reality on the ground, well, it lined up perfectly with the Pentagon's promise. Things were about to get very, very loud. And this is the human side of it all. This quote from someone in Tehran just cuts through all the strategy and the politics. It's a raw, brutal reminder that for every single one of those strikes, there are families just trying to survive a nightmare, with explosions shaking their entire world.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the type of hardware being sent in. This wasn't just about more bombs. This was a serious technological escalation. We're talking B-2 stealth bombers, the bunker busters, designed to hit targets buried deep underground. We're talking F-35s to systematically take apart Iran's air defenses. This tells you the strategy has shifted from just trying to get a knockout punch to a full-blown campaign to dismantle Iran's entire ability to fight back.
And the sheer scale of this operation? Just look at this number. That's the estimated cost of just the munitions, the bombs and missiles spent in the first 48 hours of this war. It's a staggering figure that shows you the immense level of commitment behind this campaign. But this wasn't just a one-way street. As the bombs were falling, Iran was making a massive political move of its own. The U.S. strategy was partly about decapitation, taking out the leadership. Well, the previous supreme leader was gone, but Iran wasn't folding. In fact, they were doubling down.
And this was the million-dollar question, right? After a decapitation strike, what happens next? Do you get a more moderate leader who might be open to talks, or do the hardliners see their chance to grab power? The answer was going to change everything.
And here's our answer, Mojtaba Khamenei. Let's just quickly break down who this is. He's the son of the last guy, he's a serious hardliner, super tight with the powerful Revolutionary Guard, and he's known for his role in crushing the 2009 protests. To top it off, President Trump had already called him an unacceptable lightweight. So putting him in charge, that's not a peace signal, that's a middle finger. It's a clear message of defiance, not surrender.
Okay, so let's zoom out now from the battlefield because the fallout from this war was spreading fast. The economic shockwaves were hitting the entire globe, and they were creating an absolute nightmare scenario for the world economy.
This chart just perfectly captures the chaos. Look at that whiplash with oil prices. The price shoots up from $72 a barrel to nearly $120, sparking panic about a global recession. But then, on day 11, after Trump says the war is almost over, it crashes back down to around 85. This kind of insane volatility, it just paralyzes businesses and governments. Nobody knows what to do.
And here's the kicker. While the whole world was glued to the price of oil, the physical blockade of the world's most important shipping lane was creating another, much quieter crisis. And this one threatens something even more basic than fuel.
And there it is, fertilizer. This is the part of the story that's so easy to miss. A full 1/3 of all the fertilizer that's shipped by sea in the entire world passes through the Strait of Hormuz. And with that strait now closed, that supply is trapped. This isn't just some boring supply chain problem. This is a direct threat to the global food supply, risking shortages and price spikes that are going to hit the poorest countries the hardest.
To really get why this is such a big deal, you have to understand what the Strait of Hormuz is. Think of it as one of the jugular veins of the global economy. It's a tiny choke point. By shutting it down, Iran wasn't just fighting a regional war. It was basically taking a huge piece of the global economy hostage.
So, let's pull all these threads together. You've got maximum military force from one side, you've got a newly installed defiant hardliner on the other, and you have a global economy that's teetering on the brink. It all leads to the single biggest problem of day 11. This is a war with no obvious way out.
And of course, both sides are telling completely different stories to the world. They couldn't be further apart. The US and Israel say this is all about self-defense, about taking out a threat before it can be used against them. Iran and many at the UN are calling it a straight-up war crime, a total violation of their right to exist as a country. There is no middle ground there. This table really just lays out the whole impossible mess. Look at the declared goals. The US wants ultimate victory, but is also saying the war is basically over. Huh? Israel needs to eliminate what it sees as a threat to its very existence. Iran is absolutely determined not to give in to what it calls unconditional surrender. And the poor UN is just trying to stop a chain of events that nobody can control. These goals simply cannot all be met at the same time. Which leaves us with this central, chilling question that hangs over this entire conflict. When your leaders are sending opposite messages, when every side has goals that can't be reconciled, and when the entire global economy is caught in the crossfire, well, Day 11 revealed a truly terrifying possibility. A war that's a whole lot easier to start than it is to ever finish.